From making a horse kick his opponent to death to killing 3 men with 1 pencil in a bar. Here are John Wick's most brutal fight moments, starting with the horse killing in Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, Wick tried to get away from the bounty hunters by hiding in a horse stable in Central Park. He used one of the horses in the stable as a weapon to fight off his attackers. This was one of his most creative and cruel moves. He put the horse between himself and one of the assassins, and told the horse to back kick the guy in the chest, then slapped the horse's thigh to make it follow up with a double back kick to the guy's jaw. The guy fell like a sack of potatoes. Then Wick put the reins of the horse around the neck of his last living opponent and pulled him out of the stable behind him. Stahelski said he got the idea for this epic horse foo scene when he saw the Central Park horse stables for the first time. He also knew how strong horse kicks can be because he'd been kicked by one once. If you thought that was a brutal way to die, this next one's pretty close to a banger: death by explosions. In the same movie, Wick gets away from the stable on his death horse. Gangsters on motorcycles chase him through downtown Manhattan. In the process, Wick does some amazing tricks on his bike and beats everyone who's after him. Some of the most unusual deaths in this scene happen when Wick shoots a few of the bikers, and they crash into other cars, causing explosions like in a Michael Bay movie. The trick riding in this scene was done by Keanu Reeves, who learned how to do it while filming the 2013 action movie 47 Ronin. To keep Reeves safe while shooting the scene, the crew set up a custom wire harness that would act as a safety net if he fell or if the horse ran away without warning. This scene shows that it's rare to see John Wick fight just one person at a time. Instead, the character usually runs through a group of bad guys quickly, one after the other. And he did the same in the next scene from the same movie, Ernest in the library. Even more rare is seeing Wick try to beat up a bigger opponent, but Wick's old friend Ernest towers over his target and looks very dangerous. Even though the difference in size is one of the things that makes this moment special, the setting, as usual, is also an important part of the story. Ernest and John run into each other in the New York Public Library. John's trying to get valuable things that'll help him get away. Ernest comes at Wick with a knife, so John grabs the most obvious thing to use in a reading room: a book. The scene is played out in a way that's both cruel and funny. When the series mixes hard-hitting action with funny moments, it usually works, and that's what happens here. When our master killer's holding a book, it never looked so dangerous. In the end, Wick wins after a powerful final combo in which he breaks Ernest's jaw and breaks his neck. Yikes. It's killing by the book. But you know what kind of killing doesn't follow the rules? Well, the type that takes place where it isn't supposed to. The showdown in the Osaka Continental in Chapter 4. The fourth John Wick movie wasn't the first to have an action scene on the sacred grounds of a Continental hotel, but this version of the set piece is by far the most daring and dramatic. Set in Japan, Chapter 4's extended first act climax is the only time the martial arts movie legends Donnie Yen and Hiroyuki Sanada fight in a heart-pounding samurai battle. But that's not the only thing that makes this scene stand out. Unlike many of the other scenes on this list, which are meant to show how John can use different weapons, the Osaka Continental becomes a war zone playground where the whole cast can show off. Yen plays a blind assassin who uses the layout of a 5-star kitchen to his advantage. Sanada's use of the blade is a throwback to the Toho classics, and newcomer Rina Sawayama makes a big impression by clinging to a high table goon's back, like a stubborn badger, as she stabs him up to 20 times. Reeves is also there to provide some reliable gunplay fun, but this scene feels like Stahelski and his choreographers are just having one last go at maximum chaos before things get a lot more serious. Speaking of things getting serious in a fight, it's always best to start at the beginning. killing, like the combat in the Red Circle Club in the first movie. What makes this even more interesting is knowing that Wick did most of his own stunts in the first two movies. In the first John Wick, one of the most exciting fight scenes took place when John went into the Red Circle Club, which was owned by Viggo Tarasov, who was Wick's main target at the time. In this scene, the way Wick kills his enemies is nothing short of frightening. He doesn't seem to be bothered by anything, which meant that he was in God mode. At some point, there are a lot of kills in a short amount of time. However, there aren't many other scenes that show a protagonist planning as well as this one. With more attention on close quarters combat, it seems like anything can happen, but Wick's main mission, to kill Iosif Tarasov, is the main plot point. When Tarasov gets away, chaos breaks out, and the fight spreads to the rest of the club, where the loud music makes it hard to hear what's going on. The show's getting bigger, but the story's still being told. Our hero is getting more desperate as he fights his way through waves of bad guys, but can't quite catch his prey. It's a great example of what John Wick does best, which is to use the environment to his benefit while making sure that his character arc is still at the center of the story. Of course, the most brutal fight moments don't just come from the deaths of people, but also from pets beloved to the characters. This is the death that made John Wick go on a killing spree, and anyone who loves animals can probably understand why he did it. Like when Miss Daisy was killed. This series is a tribute to man's best friends, dogs and cars. Chad Stahelski told Uproxx in 2019 that he loves dogs. He said that his love for dogs started when he was a child, and his family raised Irish wolfhounds. Stahelski's background led him to put dogs in the movies, starting with the cute baby beagle that Wick's recently dead wife, Helen, gave to him after she died. Her death sets the scene for the first movie, and she knew her time was coming to an end, so she planned for Daisy to come when John would need her the most. The puppy gives the husband, who just lost his wife, a reason to keep going each day. Tragically, he loses his last chance to be whole when Russian thugs break into his house, kill Daisy, and steal his prized '69 Mustang, which Helen gave him as a wedding gift. It breaks your heart to see the little puppy die. Even the actor who was supposed to kill the puppy on set had to cuddle Daisy in between takes. You can't blame John for going after everyone who had anything to do with killing that poor puppy and taking his car. Luckily, the actual beagle's still alive and well, living with a loving family who have since given him the name Wick. If you thought the book from earlier was a crazy weapon to use, this next one will top that, when John uses a pencil to kill. In one scene, Wick's surrounded by two guys in a small cafe and is bleeding badly. He manages to deflect one gunshot while reaching for a pencil by a server's notepad. Then, he uses the pencil to stab one of the bad guys in the chest and shoves another pencil into the other bad guy's ear. Yikes! When the guy who got stabbed in the chest gets back up, Wick finally kills him by sticking a pencil in the back of his neck, which makes you look at office tools in a whole new, twisted way. That's all for John Wick's most brutal fight moments.